What's going on, guys? Welcome back to VinConn Sports Talk, episode number 49, where today we are breaking down the best division in football, the NFC North. Some of that may be biased because I'm a Packers fan, but I'll let you determine that for yourselves. But as always, my name is Connor Swanson, and I am joined by Hall of Fame podcaster Vinny Martin. Vinny, how are you doing
Wow.
today?
Wow. I wasn't aware that I was just inducted into the podcasting Hall of Fame. Should have prepared a speech for you guys. Wow. Thank you
I mean,
so much.
feel free to
Are you
give one right now.
are you on the committee for the podcasting Hall of Fame?
Recently added, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. Well, thank you for that induction. I really
Yep.
appreciate it.
Yep.
I think I do have a little bit of ways to go there, but you know what? I'm doing great because we are talking about the best division in football. I don't think that's biased at all to say. I do agree with you. The NFC North. This is going to continue our NFL 2025 team previews where we go through every team, let you know what they did in the offseason and what we think they're going to do in the upcoming season because we know all. We're the best.
We
We're
know
experts
everything.
here.
We're the best here.
And
Yeah.
we're gonna get everything correct, just like we always do. So, I mean, NFC North, man, very exciting division. Why don't we just get into it?
Dude, let's rip the Band-Aid off and talk about the worst team from a year ago,
It,
Vinny. Why don't you
it really
lead us
is a
into it?
band aid. Yeah, it's a band aid because this is painful for me to talk about. My Chicago Bears. Yeah, that's right.
Here we
One
go.
of
Here
my
we
favorite
go.
teams. Everyone knows I am a New England Patriots fan. If we're being real with you guys, right? I am a Patriots fan. Okay, but I've always had a soft spot for the Bears. I don't know
In
why.
7 other teams. Y
No,
you
no,
can't do
just the
this.
Bears. Just the
What
Bears
happened to the Lions? Weren't you a Lions
and the
fan at one
Lions
point?
and the Lions. Just the Bears and the
And
Lions.
I think you're a
And
Bucks fan too?
well, this year I'm feeling the Bucks.
Okay,
This,
so now
but
we're
that's
at 4.
but that's just a this year thing. And I kind of
Okay.
like the Cowboys this year too.
Okay, so
Okay. Anyway,
we're up
let's
to 5 teams.
okay. The Chicago Bears. Enough out of you. The Chicago Bears. Last year it was a new kind of a new era for Chicago with Caleb Williams coming in as their starter, but it didn't really go too well for them.
No. No.
They went 5-12. Okay, they were in fourth place in the NFC North. They missed the postseason, but I would argue that this year is the first year of the rest of Bears fans' lives, man, because Ben Johnson comes in his first year, the former offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, and he is now the head coach, which
Yep.
is awesome. Probably the best move. They didn't do much in the offseason. I'll get to that in a second, but this is the best move they made. Coaching change, bring in a guy who is proven to have been very successful in the NFL with the division rival Lions, creating some of the most unique plays. Him and Dan
Oh, yeah.
Campbell kind of cooking up some very unique plays there in Detroit,
4th
and it
down,
always
going
seems to
for it
work.
every time. I
Yeah,
mean, those guys did it all, man.
yeah, very aggressive guy. So I love Ben Johnson for this team. And then I also love a guy by the name of Colston Loveland, the tight end that they drafted in the first round. Very talented prospect. And he's going to come in and he's going to be, alongside Cole Kmet, the tight end they've had there for a long time. But I think Loveland will be the number one tight end on this team by the end of the year, if not sooner. And what did the Bears do in the offseason? Well, Jonah Jackson comes in, Joe Tooney comes in. So the offensive line gets a lot better. Um, and Drew Dahlman, the center. So offensive line does get a lot better. That was a big problem for them the
Completely
past couple
revamped.
years.
Yeah.
Dio Odangbo comes in off the edge, and then Grady Jarrett. So two defensive guys too. So nothing too flashy, nothing too special. But you look at that and you're like, oh, they didn't do much. Well, I think they did get better in
Yeah.
the offseason for
They
sure.
needed they
Between the
needed to address the offensive line for sure, and they
yeah,
did.
so offensive line gets addressed, coaching gets addressed. They've had pretty terrible. I'm getting so pissed off about it. I can't even speak. They've had so terrible coaching. Ben Johnson comes in. Hopefully, I mean, he's unproven as a head coach, but hopefully he will be a great improvement for the Chicago Bears. And then as for losses, I mean, they really didn't lose anyone significant except for Keenan Allen, their wide receiver, who goes back to the Chargers. He was bad last year anyway. So I think get him off the roster. I mean, it's not that
Yeah, it
much
doesn't hurt them.
of a significance there. But listen, Connor, Chicago, we have been within at least two games of each other in all of the record predictions so far. The Chicago Bears are the first team where there is a dramatic difference in our record predictions, which we'll get to in a second. But what do you think? What are your thoughts on the Bears? I think they're going to be much improved. What do you think?
I have 0 faith in Caleb Williams. So, that's where it all starts for me, right? It's not that I don't think their team got better, right? I think they did. I just mentioned it. They addressed the offensive line, which is what they needed to do. But my problem with this football team is Caleb Williams. I do not think I mean, last year he was terrible. I do not think he has looked any better in the preseason this year. He's looked just as bad. I don't think he takes much of a step in year two. And if that's the case, I don't see them getting much better than 5-12 last. Like, I don't see them doing better than that. And we'll talk about the records in a second, but I have them getting a little bit worse, if you can believe it. So yes, they made a lot of additions. Colson Loveland came over, Luther Burden came over in the draft as well, and a wide receiver. But you already had a deep receiving room, so I don't know if addressing and a tight end. You had Cole Kmet as well. So did adding Colston Loveland and another wide receiver really do all that much to make the offense better? I don't know. Yes, Caleb Williams will have more time, but I don't think that's going to do it for him. I think he's a guy that just is not ready for the NFL yet, and maybe I'm going to be proven wrong, right? But it's just how I see it right now.
Listen, okay. Yes, okay. Caleb Williams was very disappointing, but I am not going to come out here and say that Caleb Williams had an awful year. Because I'm looking at his stats right now. Efficiency was bad, but he only had 2 interceptions his last 14 games. The defense let him down, the offensive line let him down, and all of the receivers that came in were underwhelming. The running backs were underwhelming. Everything was underwhelming. It was not Caleb Williams. It was not totally on Caleb Williams last year, and the coaching wasn't great either. I think put into a Ben Johnson offense and Caleb Williams knowing the potential he has coming out of college, this crazy prospect, I think the Bears offense is going to be much improved. I really do. I really do, Connor. I really
All
do.
right. Well,
I'm
hey,
sorry.
we're no, it, we're different. Just because we have different opinions on this doesn't mean either one of us are wrong right now, right? These are
No.
projections, these are predictions. One of us is going to be really wrong when we get to the end of the year, but we're not going to find that out till
Right.
January. So we're gonna have to see. But why don't we throw up our records? I have them finishing at 4-13. I have them doing very very bad, and you have
Okay.
them at what is it,
8 and 9.
8-9. So we're 4 games different here. This is the first major difference, as you mentioned, that we have with a record prediction for a team. And again, I just don't think Caleb Williams is the guy. I don't think he's the franchise quarterback the Bears drafted him to be. I think they're going to be kicking themselves that they took him over Jaden Daniels for a long time. So
Listen, I okay. Yes, I would much rather have Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams. I understand that. But I think it's unfair to make a true assessment on a guy after 1 year because we've had guys like Daniels and like CJ Stroud, and then even go back a little bit, like say like a Joe Burrow. They come out of college, they're immediately having these insane years in the NFL. That's not going to be the case for everyone.
no,
Okay, we know the potential that Caleb Williams has. I still think there is room to grow, and I think he's now in one of the most ideal situations to do it in. And I think if it doesn't happen this year, then I will agree that Caleb Williams is not the guy. But Ben Johnson is the head coach, improved line, the skill positions, wide receivers should be good. I mean, Roman Dunze, he should be better. DJ Moore was pretty bad last year too. Everyone was bad. Everyone was playing below their potential. The team's ceiling, I did predict them at their ceiling. I think their 8 and 9 is their ceiling, but I think reach for the stars if you're the Bears, man. Go ahead and do it. I love it. I
all
love
right,
what I'm seeing.
all right, wait. I'm not. I have no problem with you putting them at 8-9. I have them at 4-13. We just happen to have a difference in opinion, which is perfectly fine for this.
Yeah.
And it's gonna happen. You see it across, all the people that you see on TV or on Instagram or social media where they're posting about sorry, I
Here
just
we go with the mist again.
Vinny's making his face. Yes, there's a miss going on. Whatever. Ignore it. Um, but you see all these people posting on social media about records, and everyone is different. Everyone's all over the place. So it's just what happens, right? People believe things, other people believe other things. So not a problem at all. You have them 8-9. I have them at 4-13, and that's just where it is. So
That's
what do
just
we
it, man.
what do
That's
we
it.
say? We move on to the real the best team in the NFC North. All right, let's just put it at that. The Green Bay Packers. Okay, they finished third in the division a year ago. Obviously, uh, not what I was hoping for as a Packers fan, but um, they lost in the divisional round to the Eagles as well. But they did play. They played decently in that game. Saquon Barkley was impossible to stop last year. Matt LaFleur obviously continues to be one of the top coaches in the NFL. Jordan Love dealing with a bit of a thumb injury, on his non-throwing hand. He had some surgery done on it to try and, make it 100% healthy before we got to the season, so he didn't have to deal with that. And then in the draft, They went out and drafted a wide receiver in the first round, something that we don't see this team do. They never did it for Aaron Rodgers. And now Aaron Rodgers is gone. They said, okay, I guess we'll draft, a wide receiver in the first round. Matthew Golden out of Texas. He's a dog, man. He's been fantastic in the preseason, in training camp. He has been basically unguardable. Like he is every single time they have the joint practices, which I love that they do that now, by the way. The joint practices, I think that's just good for football, right? That you get to
It is.
actually have that energy that you're going against not just your teammate, but another team that you're going to be facing during the regular season. So he's been doing fantastic during that. And, they also took a tackle in the second round who he's fighting for a starting spot. Is he going to get it? We're not too sure yet. It might just be a depth piece, but you need depth at offensive line. There's going to be injuries. People are going to go down, and that's just the honest truth. So the offseason for free agency, what'd they do? They went out and signed offensive guard Aaron Banks from the San Francisco 49ers. And of course, as I just mentioned, he's injured. So again, the offensive line depth immediately needs to be used. Nate Hobbs, the cornerback from the Las Vegas Raiders, he goes out and gets signed by Green Bay. And then two guys that I was going to talk about, but they recently got cut today, released. Mecole Hardman, the wide receiver, and Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker from the Giants. So two guys that had promised to fit in with some rotational roles. Both got released from the team today. Key losses. I mentioned it when we talked about the Ravens with the AFC North. Jair Alexander is gone. Big hit to the secondary room, of course. But again, he's hurt all the time. Love him. I have his jersey behind me back there, or over there, yeah, right back there. But he's gone now, and that is what it is. Josh Myers, the center last year, he's gone. Wasn't anything special as it was. Elton Jenkins, the All-Pro offensive lineman, is going to move to center, and then AJ Dillon, Quadzilla. I also have his jersey, not hanging up behind me, but Quadzilla. I mean, how can you not love the guy? He's with the Eagles now, and so, dude, Saquon Barkley, AJ Dillon, that's a crazy RB
Wow.
room. Eric
Wow.
Stokes, another corner we lost. So again, the secondary taking more of a hit. Those were, our two top corners a year ago. And then defensive tackle TJ Slayton, who we mentioned in our previous episode. So they lost a lot of players, but they did gain some big pieces as well. I think the offense is I think Matthew Golden's going to turn into the wide receiver one. I think start of the year he might not be the main guy, but if Jaden Reed questionable to be out there in week 1, he's still been in a walking boot. So he's going to get all the opportunity in the world, Matthew Golden. And I think he's going to prove to everyone that he's one of the best receivers in this draft class. And I think the Packers got him at a very good discount for where they drafted him later in that first round. Some notes here. Mo Belton, okay, a guy who played wide receiver for this Packers team for a long time. Uh, he transitioned to cornerback. So, in the same year that Travis Hunter comes out of the draft and he's going to be playing both ways, Mo Belton ends up just switching his position. He goes, you know what? I likely won't make the team as a wide receiver. This is what the coaching staff was telling him. They said, you know what? Try out at corner and we'll see what we got. And he's been looking pretty good. Not sure if he's going to be a starter for the team, but he's going to be, a depth piece at the cornerback position. Kristen Watson, the big play guy for the Green Bay Packers, big speed, flashy guy. He's not expected back until maybe October at the earliest after suffering a torn ACL at the end of last season. So that's going to be something to monitor. And yeah, I mean, so that's the Green Bay Packers in a nutshell. The offseason, everything going on with injuries, things like that. And I think the question mark is going to be Jordan Love. Okay, I mean, we talk about it with every team. The quarterback is obviously one of the key pieces you have to discuss. But Jordan Love, especially, he seems to be inconsistent at times. Sometimes he'll go out there and have an incredible game, throws multiple touchdowns, rarely misses on his throws. Then other games, he's all over the place, making stupid decisions, throwing interceptions. And so it's just kind of like, dude, like you got to figure it out. You got to find a consistent rhythm to get into. And I think if he did that, this team goes from just being a playoff team every year to being a Super Bowl contender. And I do have faith he can do that this year. And then last thing, Vinny, before I hand it over to you, the wide receivers. This is a team that led the league in drops, and that really held them back. Okay, guys like Romeo Dobbs, even who he's dropping passes. Malik Keith, who he just made the roster, he's dropping passes. Dontavian Wicks dropping passes. All of these guys have been dropping the ball at a ridiculous rate. I think the team was somewhere around like 25% drop rate, that is terrible. Every 1 in 4 passes is
Yeah.
getting dropped. And this stat doesn't account for balls that are, not catchable or out of reach or
Right.
things like that. Like if the ball is in your hands, in your chest, and catchable, they're still dropping it. And that's where the problem lies. So I think that is going to change. I think Matthew Golden coming over is going to be one of those sure-handed guys that can kind of hopefully get this offense going in the right direction with the drop rates. So Yeah, Vinny, that's the Packers. What do you see from them here in 2025? Are they gonna, get back to being that top team in the division, or are they just a game or two out?
Yeah, so first of all, you've covered pretty much everything. Obviously, this is your squad, this is your team. So you know more about them than I do. Jordan Love is the biggest question mark for me on this team and the wide receiver room. You addressed the problem. Matthew Golden is going to be awesome. I don't think he's enough to elevate the entire wide receiver room into being, really good in his first year.
Okay.
That's the unfortunate thing. But there are some guys like I look at like Romeo Dobbs and Jaden Reed and those guys like they have potential. Like they all can pop off for some huge games once in a while. But I'm thinking it's going to be a boom or bust sort of offense here because, like you said, Jordan Love is kind of unreliable, and that's not what I was expecting from Jordan Love. I feel like his first couple years in the league, he was a pretty reliable
Yeah.
quarterback. Go out there and
2023
you
especially.
right, like you know what you're gonna get. Like he's not gonna throw for 300 yards a game, but he's gonna get the job done. Last year, it was kind of all over the place. It was a lot of turnovers, which was kind of unexpected. So maybe if he can return and not try to play hero ball all the time and kind of return to form, then the Packers can be one of those elite teams. I still think they're going to be good. I mean, I've said this on the podcast last year a lot. They are one of the most fundamentally sound football teams in the NFL, in my opinion. They're very well rounded. I don't think they have a glaring weakness besides wide receivers, which they've got better in the offseason. So I think they're a very well rounded team. You do lose Jair, which sucks. Um, but you still have McKinney, so you have half of that like no fly zone,
I love our
turnover machine.
safety room. Xavier McKinney,
I
Evan
mean,
Williams, and even Javon Bullard. I love our safety room. I think we have one of the best
yeah,
safety rooms in the league. But anyways, continue. Sorry, I just had to say that.
yeah, no, defense is going to be really good. I think this ceiling has, or excuse me, this team has a very, I think it's a low ceiling, high floor type of team, in my opinion.
Okay.
I would bank on them winning 9 to 11 games this year. That's just my opinion.
So let's get into it then. You say you have them winning 9-11. What's your actual record prediction for this team
So
this year?
as you would predict, 10-7. I think
Right
they're
in the
going to be
middle.
ten
All
and
right.
seven, right in the middle. I don't think they're going to win the NFC North. I really don't. I'm sorry. I know you disagree with me there, but I do think they are definitely a solid playoff team with a chance to win a playoff game this year.
Yeah. So I mean, I have them at 13-4. Right. So you're gonna hear that and say,
Yeah,
wow, right?
obviously.
Wow, that's crazy. But the fact of the matter is this team got better. They were 11-6 last year, 1-5 in the division. You
Yeah,
cannot tell me they're going to be 1-5 in the division again, especially when the Lions got worse, the Vikings got worse, and in your case, maybe the Bears got a little bit better, right? But
no,
the only game we won last year was one game against the Bears. If we split with the Lions, split with the Vikings, we're already two games better than we were a year ago. And I know the rest of the
yeah,
schedule is tougher. Okay. I'll admit that.
yeah,
The rest of the schedule is a little bit tougher. But, okay, we're still playing teams that I do think we can win. We're playing the NFC East, where I think, the Eagles got us last year in Brazil. I wouldn't be surprised if we could get the Eagles this year. Playing teams like the Giants, the Cowboys, I think those are both wins. Commanders, I don't think the Commanders are going to be, you know, they're going to be a playoff team for sure, but I think that's a team that we can compete with. These are games that I have the Packers being one of those teams that is able to compete with anybody. And when you have a team like that, I don't think it is too far fetched to say that they win some of the games, and obviously, you know,
yeah,
when we say, we're 3 games apart, that might seem like a glaring, difference. But at the end of the day, we still have them being a very good football team. And your 10-7 and my 13-4 can get meshed together very easily by saying, okay, I had them beating the Ravens. We talked about it last episode when you didn't. So that's one, right? Where that's a game that there's two
right.
powerhouses, two very good football teams. You just lean one way, I lean the other. So it's things like that where we're really not as far apart as these records go to say. I do have them winning the NFC North. I think the Lions will take more. We'll talk about them in a second, but I think the Lions will take more of a step back than the Packers. And
Yeah,
last thing, I mean, Jordan Love, they they brought over Josh Jacobs last year. So they tried to take some of the pressure off of Jordan Love, and then Jordan Love gets injured week 1. So I think that was a big problem last year was Jordan Love was never 100% healthy last year. Never. He was not a single game was he 100% healthy. He was always dealing with something. So this year, hopefully the thumb is fully good to go by week 1, which is that was the reason he got the surgery done. And then I think he's going to have a full year. I think he's going to have one of his best seasons as a quarterback in the NFL. And I think this Packers team can truly go out there and compete for um for an NFC championship, maybe even a Super Bowl. So we'll get to
Oh,
talking
okay.
about that. I will say, I just got breaking news. Okay, this isn't about anyone in the NFC North, but the Saints just
Okay.
named Spencer Rattler QB1.
What?
The New Orleans
No
Saints
way.
just named Spencer Rattler quarterback one. Tyler Shuck will be QB2 in that offense.
Ah, the mother shucker is not gonna play. That sucks. I want him
So
to play so bad.
I know we're talking about the NFC North here, but I figured we just finished the
Yeah.
Packers, and that news came up, and I saw it. Had to put it out there. That is huge news. So,
Oh, massive, massive
massive
news. I
news.
might have to change my entire record predictions now.
Are the Saints a Super Bowl
Um,
winning team now, or what? Or are
I
they
think
worse?
so. No, they're worse actually. The mother shucker is the guy.
All
Um,
right,
just one more word on the Packers. I actually do have them splitting with the Lions and the Vikings. So I actually have them beating the Lions week one. They play week one at Lambeau Field. I
I
have
do as
them
well.
winning. Actually, I had them starting 3-0 actually.
Yeah.
So
So
that's that's fun. But it's just games like against like the Cowboys. I think that's a total toss up. Like I took the Cowboys in that game,
you
and
think
then a
that's a
game
toss
against
up?
like it's a toss up
I would say
in
the game
Dallas.
against the Commanders is more of a toss up than the game against the Cowboys.
Cowboys. I don't know, man. The Cowboys offense is better than the Packers offense.
But the Cowboys defense is terrible, especially if Micah
Exactly, and your
Parsons
and
isn't
your
on the field.
defense is better, and your defense is better. So that's why it's a toss up. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, then what's your reasoning for the Commanders being a win?
I just looked at that game and you're at it's at Lambeau. It's a night game at Lambeau. I just like that I just feel like you're gonna win that game.
All
I don't
right,
know.
all right. Anyways, let's
Whatever.
move
It
on
doesn't
here.
have to, please move on.
Let's move on
Don't need this.
to the who are we moving on to actually, Vin? You tell
We're
me.
moving on. Sorry. We're moving on to the Minnesota Vikings.
All right.
Very interesting story from last year. They go 14-3, Connor, last year. Second place in the NFC North. They could have won the NFC North if they just beat the Lions in week number 18, which is crazy. Sam Darnold was their starting quarterback. They went 14-3, but they did get eliminated in the wild card round by the Rams. So all of that for nothing. They bring in Kevin O'Connell for year number 4 as the head coach, and their starting quarterback. Well, Sam Darnold is out the door. He goes to Seattle, which means J.J. McCarthy, Michigan, the national championship winning
Yeah.
quarterback from
Yep.
Michigan from 2 years ago, sidelined with an injury all of last year. He gets his time to shine finally. So Darnold out the door. Clearly, he wasn't the answer in their mind. Clearly, they wanted to build around J.J. McCarthy, so they are going to do that, and the experiment will start in 2025. And then to help out JJ McCarthy, you have Donovan Jackson coming in the first round, which is really good as well, bolster that line. What did they do in the offseason? Well, let's jump right into it. They get Jordan Mason, the running back, in a trade from the 49ers. There's kind of talks about him possibly being the starter. Him and Aaron Jones going to be splitting touches. I don't know. It's probably going to be a battle
Yeah,
to see who wins that
I
job.
think it'll be of a bit of a committee because of
Yeah,
Aaron Jones, I don't think they want to run Aaron Jones into the ground. I think they would prefer having him 100% healthy and not playing as much than have him be, you know, the feature back for the first 7 weeks than have him miss 10 games. Right.
right.
So I think that's the concern with him. I think that's why they brought over Jordan Mason is because he's more of a reliable option there to go as the kind of counterpart where maybe Jordan Mason is doing uh, first down work, second down work, and then Aaron Jones is the big pass catcher back who's going out there and making big plays in the passing game. So but we'll see. We'll monitor that as we get closer.
We will. Um, Other moves for the Vikings in the offseason, Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, they both come in. Jeff Okuda, remember that name from the Lions? He was a top prospect a
Yep.
couple years ago. He's there. And Isaiah Rodgers, they come in. Who did they lose? Well, they lose Sam Darnold, like I mentioned before. Cam Akers, he was that kind of counterpart to Aaron Jones last year, so they upgrade there. Stephen Gilmore, I mean, that guy's been on so many teams at this point, but
Yeah, he
he's
struggled
gone.
last year.
Yeah, not a good year for him. Shaq Griffin, he's out the door. Cam Bynum, that's a pretty good name, a safety. He's out the door.
That's a big loss for them.
That's a big loss. Garrett Bradbury, the center. David Quessenberry, what a great name. Another
Yep.
really good name there. And Cam Robinson. So offensive line, I mean,
They lost a lot of it.
they lose a good amount, which is not good. And listen, I'm gonna go on my Vikings tangent again to start this off. Okay,
Let's hear
14-3 for the Vikings last year was absurd.
it.
Absurd. Okay. They won so many games by one score. They were so fraudulent. They got exposed in the playoffs. They got so exposed by a team like the Rams. They weren't even playing in Los Angeles. The Rams had to play a home game in Arizona due to the wildfires. Their whole lives got all messed up by that tragic event, and they go in and they beat one of the best teams in the NFC. The Vikings were so fraudulent last year. It actually makes me so mad how they were 14-3. It's just ridiculous. They're not going to be
Were
that good again.
were you more mad about the Vikings or the Chiefs? Because both of them had very fraudulent type seasons.
Um, I mean, I like the Vikings more than the Chiefs, just as a fan of the teams, but
Okay.
expect the Chiefs to be that good
All
every
right,
year.
fair enough.
So
All right.
that's not like that. The way they were winning was annoying, but like their actual record wasn't annoying.
Okay, got
The
it. All right.
Vikings being 14-3 was just like crazy to me. You know
All
what
right.
I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
But you understand, but it's gonna be interesting. You got JJ McCarthy coming in. He has a lot of weapons to work with. Jordan Assen is gonna be out a couple weeks.
The first
But
three,
you
I
have
believe.
first three. But you have the best wide receiver in football, Justin Jefferson.
If he's
That's my
healthy, Vinny.
opinion.
If he's
If
healthy.
he's healthy, if he's healthy, he's dealing with a bit of an injury. If I mean, between him and Jamar Chase for me, but I think he is the most talented wide receiver in
Yeah.
the NFL. Um, but I mean, what do you expect? How's JJ McCarthy going to be? He got sidelined for a whole year, and he's kind of getting thrown right into the fire here.
I mean, the thing with JJ McCarthy is that yes, he was sidelined for a whole year, but that also means he had a full year to learn the playbook, learn how
Right.
Kevin O'Connell operates, just kind of learn the scheme, learn the team a little bit where your big players are all still there. It's not like they lost anyone that is too significant. Yes, the offensive line, they lost some players. But when you're talking about, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones, he got to build a rapport with those guys, even if he wasn't in the games, right? He was talking to them in film. He was in practice, even this offseason. He's doing things with them. So I think he is going to be okay. I think he might not be what Sam Darnold was last year, even though, Sam Darnold wasn't supposed to be anything crazy last year, but I don't think he'll play as well as Darnold did a season ago. I think that was just kind of a crazy season from a guy that probably won't
Yeah.
ever do that again. I don't know if he's going to do it with the Seahawks this year, but
I don't know.
but I think JJ McCarthy is going to be fine. I just don't know if fine's going to be enough for this team because they have a tough schedule. They're in the NFC North. They're playing the NFC
Yeah.
East. They're playing the Ravens. They're playing the Bengals. It is a very tough schedule for this NFC North this year. And, we can basically treat McCarthy as a rookie. Outside of him
Yeah.
being able to learn the playbook a little bit last year, I mean, he's going to be a rookie this year. He's going to go into his first regular season NFL start, and it's going to hit him. And we're going to see if he folds under the pressure or if he rises to the occasion. And that's going to be the question mark. So until we see him in week one, it's very tough to say what the ceiling for this Vikings team is.
Yeah, this team is an average team in my eyes, and in my opinion, they were an average team last year too. It's just I don't have an explanation for it for why they were so good. They're not a bad football team. They have a lot. I mean, their defense last year
Very good.
was
Very good.
really really good.
Brian
Very
Flores, very
overperformed.
good defensive coordinator. I mean, he makes things
Yeah,
happen there. They blitz like nobody else. I mean, they were fantastic. Like if they do that again this year, right? They could be a very good team again. But then again, it comes down to JJ McCarthy. And again, it's hard to say what's going to happen with him.
yeah. I think it's going to be the same deal. I think they're going to be in a lot of one score games. They're going to be very competitive. I just don't think they're going to be coming out on the right side of those games as much as they were last year. And
Close
like you
games, yeah.
said, the schedule is pretty tough. They're obviously in a very competitive division. Like, you know, I I think the Bears are going to beat them once. Like I know that's not crazy to hear me say that, but
Mm.
you know, they I don't know. I don't. This is very confusing. It's very tough team to predict because you have the quarterback, the basically rookie quarterback. I don't think he's going to be bad either, but
Uh,
how much can you really expect from him?
yeah. So let's jump into our records here, and we can add so many last thoughts we have here on the screen. But I have them at 7-10. You have them at 8-9. Right? We're
Mhm.
very close here on the record. And I think this is fair. This is a fair prediction for them just because of what we've been saying. Their defense can be very good. They have the skill players on offense outside of the quarterback. We need to see JJ McCarthy in weeks 1, 2, 3 and see how he looks. If he comes out and he looks like he's going to be a fantastic quarterback for them, I mean, these predictions basically go out the window. Am I right with that? Am I
Right.
right by saying that?
Yeah. Right.
So
It's, yeah.
it's still a very tough schedule, still a very tough division. Nothing that won't change. But if JJ McCarthy proves that he can be the next franchise guy, I mean, this record can go to 9-8, 10-7. We can flip flop our records, right? Like it wouldn't be that crazy to think if McCarthy truly is that guy, which we just have to see before we believe it.
Yeah. And he wasn't even like McCarthy is a very good player, but he wasn't really like a highly touted prospect, coming in. I mean, he was a proven winner, which is a
Yep.
good thing. But all of the other quarterbacks around him were looked at as being having a much higher ceiling,
Yeah.
like Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. So
Even Penix.
even Penix. So I feel like it was
Bo
kind of
Nix.
a
I mean,
Bo Nix,
it was
yeah.
a loaded quarterback class last year.
I feel
And
like
the
when the
Vikings
Vikings
got like
took
the lower guy.
McCarthy at 8, I think they took him at 8, I want to say. They took him
No,
before
Penix
Penix
was at,
and
I thought Penix was at 8. I think Penix was at 8.
was Penix? Maybe that's when yeah, Penix was 8. I knew someone was at 8. But yeah, it was kind of like it was a little bit surprising because I think people were thinking that JJ McCarthy was going to be lower. But regardless, with that said, I'm rooting for him. They're a fun team. Hopefully he can have a good year, but
Yep.
I'm ready to move on if you are.
All right, yeah, let's move on to this final team of the NFC North. It is a team that last year they were absolutely ridiculous, right? The Detroit Lions finished 15-2, Vane. 15-2. And
Yep.
they didn't make the NFC Championship game.
No.
And you
Ridiculous.
hear that and you have to just pause for a second because when you think of a team being that dominant in the regular season, you would assume, okay, they're at least in their champion, like their conference championship, if not the Super Bowl, which they
100%.
probably should be, right? And
Mhm.
don't get me wrong, they had all the talent in the world to be in the Super Bowl last year. It was their year last year, and they went in to they got the bye, the first round of the playoffs. They come in the divisional round. Commanders coming into town, and they get absolutely just it just they look terrible, and
Yeah.
it was hard to watch because the fans, the town, they built it up so much. Their first time having a very successful team in a long time. They're like, this is our year. We're going all the way and then to just get embarrassed at home like that, it was just heartbreaking. And now they have to regroup. They lose both of their coordinators. They lose a lot of their offensive line, some key pieces I'll talk about in a second. So it's really going to be are they going to be able to maintain that level of play from last year to this year? And it's going to be a big question mark. So they draft defensive tackle Tyleek Williams in the first round out of Ohio State. He's going to come in. He's going to be a playmaker immediately for them. Obviously, um, Jared Goff is going to be he's going to be the quarterback still. He has been, I mean, honestly, better than I thought he was going to be. When they made that
Oh yeah.
quarterback swap for Stafford and Goff, I thought Stafford was going to be okay and Goff was just going to fall off the face of the earth. And he revitalized his career. That trade, what made him, an amazing quarterback for some. Like being in the system with Dan Campbell,
Yeah.
he just turned into an all-star type player. Um,
Right.
so free agency, DJ Reed, a corner, comes over, signs a free agency. Defensive end Marcus Davenport comes over, and corner Avante Maddox. So they didn't make any crazy moves in the offseason. They did lose Carlton Davis, guard Kevin Zietler. He was a key run blocker for them a year ago. Center Frank Ragnow, he retired. Okay, those are two of their best offensive linemen out the door. They didn't really replace them. And then edge rushers is Darius Smith, who has been with the Packers, Vikings. He just loves the NFC North. So uh, this team is going to regress. They're not going to win
No.
15 games again. I know what were you laughing at the mist again? Um,
No, 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 no. I promise. I promise.
all right, but they're not going to win 15 games again. It's just not possible. I have them regressing. I don't have them winning the division this year. I think the loss of their coordinators, the loss of their two best offensive linemen, is going to be too much to overcome. They're still going to be a very good football team. We'll get into records in a minute here, but when you lose those offensive linemen, the run game gets a little worse. The pass protection gets a little worse. And are you going to be making up all these crazy trick plays without Ben Johnson? I don't know.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell's still an awesome coach, crazy guy, but Ben Johnson was almost like the mastermind behind some of those. So it's going to be a
Yeah.
very, very tricky season for them to navigate. Vinny, what are your thoughts on this team in 2025?
Well, I just want to start off by saying that this episode we've had a lot of disagreements for the first time, but I actually do think you're spot on. I agree with you 100%. They are going to regress. They're not going to win 15 games again. And as far as the new coordinators, it is going to make a difference because they were just this was probably the best coaching staff in the NFL last year
Yeah,
of the
100%.
three
I'd
of them
agree. Yep.
together, and they just made things happen. And maybe maybe going away from the trick plays might be a good thing because this started to run out. They started to run out of luck. I remember in the
Well,
in the
yeah,
NFC divisional game, Jameson Williams throwing an interception. It's
yeah, and that
just
cost them the game.
not good. Yeah, it's just like we don't need it's fun to watch and I love the Lions, trust me. I love you I'm a big Lions guy. It is fun to watch, but it gets to a point where you kind of like roll your eyes at them and you're saying like, why are you doing this when you don't have to? You know what I
Well,
mean?
us I think that was the first time that I thought that was in that divisional round game when you're down a score late in the game into
Right.
a huge conversion you need on I think it was like a third down or something, and they run a trick play with Jamison Williams throwing the football.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is your
Not,
season on the line, and you're taking the ball out of your quarterback's hands and putting it into a receiver, and he's throwing it.
yeah.
I
So,
understand it worked a lot in the regular season, but there, I think you gotta play football the way it's meant to be played, man.
yeah. But yes, so definitely regression. But with all of that being said, I do still think they're the best team in this division. The only difference between me and you is you have the Packers way better than I do. So
Yep.
if you want to jump into the records here,
Yep, let's do it.
um, we both have 12-5.
Yep.
So definitely in agreement there. I think that's a perfect spot for them. The reason why I say they're still the best team is because all of the core pieces are still there. They didn't lose anyone big, and the offense and the skill positions. Gibbs, I mean, Jameer Gibbs was incredible last year. He should continue to get better. And I think even Montgomery coming back even helps Gibbs, keeps him fresh
Yep.
because I mean Gibbs was great when he had the whole workload in the last couple weeks last year, but you add in Montgomery to get some goal line work, to get some short distance scenarios, keep both of them fresh. That's a great rushing attack. You still have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Sam Laporta. I mean, is a really good tight end, and not to mention Aiden Hutchinson coming back. He missed a lot of the year last year. Their superstar on defense there. So I think the Lions are still going to be good. I think they're still going to win the NFC North. They're going to keep their crown there, and then hopefully they have different luck in the playoffs because that's where they went wrong last
Um,
year. So
yeah.
my thoughts.
It's gonna be interesting to monitor. You know, the offensive line, we'll see how they operate early on in the season. If they look like they're a well-oiled machine and they're firing on all cylinders, then you know what? We don't have to worry about the lines as much, and maybe the regression won't be there as much. But I just worry that losing those two offensive linemen and losing your coordinators is going to be it's going to be a bit of a shock at the start of the season. I think they're going to take 1 or 2 weeks. I mean, you mentioned it. We both have the Packers winning week 1 at Lambeau when these two teams play each other. I think it's going to
Yeah,
take them 2, 3 weeks to truly like get comfortable with the new system, the new coordinators. Maybe they're running things a little bit differently now, and I think that's just not saying that it's their fault, right? But when there's changes like that happen in the organization, um, it's going to it's going to feel a little weird. It's going to feel odd, and I think until they're what's the word I'm looking for? Until they're comfortable with that, they might not be the same team we saw last year.
yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. So, yeah, that's gonna wrap things up for the NFC North. Very, very fun division, the best division in
Best
football.
division,
That
best
being
division.
both said,
I mean, we said
I
it based
do
on records, right? Based on records, they are. I think they are the best.
based on based on my records, but that's just because you have the Bears so bad. I have the Bears being decent. So,
Yeah, but I think
um,
it cancels out because think about it. If you have the Packers 3 games worse, you have the Bears 5 games better or 4 games better. So you'd actually have them with better than me.
yeah, potentially. Um, so great division, very exciting. Always exciting football to be had here in the NFC North. But Connor, do you have any last thoughts here?
I'm just excited for football, man. We are
Yeah.
we're 9 days away.
9 days away. 9 days away. And we're also halfway through our team predictions here. So our team previews, I should say. So if you guys have been liking these, please let us know. I know we're putting out a lot of content. I'm trying to put out a little clip from every team on social media. So we'll try to get those out for you. And that reminds me, follow us on social media. We have all the social medias: TikTok, Instagram, Twitter/X, and YouTube, which you might be seeing this on right now. Hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, just do whatever you got.
And we still have
Do whatever you got to
Spotify.
do.
For all of you guys who, you just
Yeah,
love listening to it, not watching it, we still have Spotify. So
yeah.
don't be
Whatever's
afraid to
better.
go follow us on there. Whatever works better for you, just check us out. And please, if you're watching these, just hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, and it means so much to us. So
Yeah, and that's we're a multi-platform organization now here at VinConn Sports Talk. We're
oh yeah.
making moves here in 2025. But we are going to end this right now. Next up, it's the most exciting division, the AFC South, is what we're going to be covering next. So until then, thank you guys for listening. We'll talk to you next time.